This is a reading of Understanding Greek Myths, pages 34 through 39. This chapter is called Trade and Warfare. The ancient Greeks looked to their gods to help them in trade and conquests. They traveled by land and sea to many different places around Greece. Trade was vital to the Greeks because their poor farmland meant that they could not grow enough food for all their citizens. Armies traveled to expand the empire through warfare. The heart of every ancient Greek city was its main square, called an agora. This was used as a place to meet, to buy and sell goods. Shopkeepers sold their products, and farmers sold their produce. To pay for these goods, each city issued their own coins. Below in the picture, you see it says the Agora, or main square in Athens, was often packed with people buying and selling goods or just talking to their friends. Hermes. From an early age, Hermes, the god of trade, was good at making deals. When Hermes was a child, he found a tortoise shell. Stretching strings across it, he made it into a lyre. He was able to play the lyre so beautifully that the god Apollo heard it. He offered to trade Hermes his cows for it. Hermes accepted the trade, but as Apollo was getting the cows ready, Hermes made a pipe and began to play it. The music was so wonderful that Apollo wanted the pipe as well. He offered Hermes the golden staff he used to herd the cows. Hermes did not accept so quickly this time. He told Apollo that, as well as the staff, he wanted his gift of prophecy so he could tell the future. Apollo could not refuse and traded Hermes the golden staff for his knowledge of prophecy. A link to today. Agoraphobia, from the Greek word agora, or a main square, and phobia, or fear, is the term for the fear of such open places such as markets. People suffering from this often end up too afraid to leave their homes. Below in the picture, you'll see it says most Greek boats had one square sail, but some like this one were powered by oars. Coins from Athens showed an owl, the symbol of the goddess of Athena. Other cities decorated their coins with images of gods such as Poseidon or dolphins for Apollo. Greeks did most trading with other countries by sea because it was surrounded on three sides by water. Merchants traded with port cities around the Mediterranean Sea and the north to the Black Sea. They traded such products as pottery, wine, and oil for goods such as grain, silver, gold, and ivory. As they traveled, they spread the Greek belief in their gods fair and wide. The Greek trading ships had one square sail, so they depended on the right winds to carry them across the water. Sailors worshipped the winds as gods, who also had names and personalities. The four main winds were Boreas, north wind, Zephyrus, west wind, Notus, south, and Eurus, east. These gods could be gentle like west wind or fierce like north wind that brought icy gales. Above in the picture it says, during the Trojan War, Patroclus, a friend of the Greek hero Achilles, was killed by the Trojans. Achilles then killed many Trojans in response. The Trojan War. The story of the Trojan War is one of the most famous Greek myths of all. It was described in two epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, written by Homer in and around 750 BCE. These texts are two of the oldest surviving stories of the gods and goddesses in ancient Greece. The war between ancient Greece and Troy in what is now Turkey began as a fight over a princess. Zeus arranged for his daughter Helen to marry King Menelaus of Sparta. She, however, fell in love with Paris, the son of the king of Priam of Troy, and Helen ran away with Paris back to Troy. The Greeks were furious and demanded that she return, When she did not, they marched to Troy and fought for 10 years to capture the city and bring back Helen. To capture the city and win the war, the Greeks had to trick the Trojans. Thus, they did successfully. See myth on page 37. Knowing that there had been real war around 1250 BCE, some people wondered if this myth was based on true events. In 1870s CE, a German archaeologist named Heinrich Schliemann set out to find the ruins of the city of Troy. Following Homer's description, he started digging in Turkey and found the remains of a city that had been destroyed in a war. Researchers now believe there was an ancient city of Troy, just as Homer described it. The Trojan Horse. The Trojan Horse was a brilliant idea of King Odysseus. With his clever trick, the Greeks finally found a way into the city of Troy to end the Trojan War. The city of Troy was so well protected, the Greek army could not get inside the city walls. The Greeks decided on a daring plan. Odysseus, a Greek king famous for his cleverness, had a dream that told him what to do. With the help of Athena, goddess of warfare and wisdom, the Greeks built an enormous horse out of wood. They hid their bravest soldiers, including Odysseus, inside the horse. The Greeks left the horse at the walls of Troy while the rest of the army sailed away. The Trojans took the horse into the city and argued about whether to destroy it. They decided to leave it as an offering to the gods. The Greek soldiers emerged from their hiding place during the night, defeated the Trojans, and brought the end to the war. On the right, the Trojan horse is shown on a storage jar found on the island of Mykonos. This jar is 2,600 years old. There's a link to today that says, "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts," refers to the story of the Trojan horse. People still use the saying today as to remind people to be cautious of unexpected gifts. Above in this picture, you see Alexander was a great horseman, riding his favorite horse, Bucephalus, in sport into battle for more than 20 years. Alexander the Great. Alexander was the sort of King Philip II of Macedonia. Alexander was the son of King Philip II of Macedon. Macedon, now called Macedonia, is a separate country just north of Greece. When Alexander became king in 336 BCE, he formed a huge army and conquered Greece and much of Asia. By the time he died, he was known as Alexander the Great. As a boy, Alexander was taught by philosopher Aristotle. Aristotle had lived most of his life in Greece and loved the Greek way of life. He taught Alexander everything he knew about Greek myths, history, and thought. The Greek world. Although not Greek himself, Alexander spoke Greek, believed in Greek gods. He modeled himself after Achilles and was taught to ride, hunt, and fight. After his father Philip died, Alexander enlarged the territory ruled by the Macedonian kingdom. He conquered many different countries and cultures, including Egypt and Persia. Wherever he went, he introduced Greek writing, music, dance, myths, money, art, medicine, and theater. When these distant countries were later conquered by new armies, Greek myths and ideas remained. When the Roman Empire grew strong during the 2nd and 1st centuries BCE, Greek myths survived. Although the gods were given new names, Zeus became Jupiter, Poseidon became Neptune, and Ares is now Mars. Alexander, if you look on the right, it says Alexander would have fought his many battles with a sword like this, the blade made of bronze and the hilt made of gold. Alexander's mother in the green box. Alexander's mother, Olympias, said that the night before her wedding, she dreamed that a thunderbolt had entered her body. She took this as a sign that Alexander's father was actually Zeus. She believed her son was part god and directly related to the great heroes Achilles and Heracles. And this is called the Gordian knot. Ancient Greeks believed that Ancient Greeks believed that the right to be king was a gift from the gods. The gods often gave humans a sign to watch out for so they would know the right person was taking the throne. The people of Phrygia had no king, but the oracle said that the king would arrive by ox cart. One day a man, Gordius, came to Phrygia on an ox cart, so the people made him King Gordius. Gordius was so grateful that he dedicated his cart to the god Zeus. He tied the cart up with a very complicated knot and left it in the temple. The oracle said that Zeus was pleased and that anyone who could untie the knot would be ruler of all Asia. But the knot was so tricky to untie that it stayed knotted for many generations. When Alexander the Great invaded Asia, he came upon the cart and the knot. He believed he was destined to be ruler and could most certainly untie the knot. After trying for some time and became frustrated, Alexander drew his sword and sliced through the knot and untied it. Alexander went on to create one of the largest empires in ancient history.